What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to talk about my honest thoughts on Mass Effect, the first Mass Effect game. So, I've beaten it, okay? I've been playing the Legendary Edition. I beat it. When you guys are seeing this, I beat it 2 days ago. I've started at the time you guys are, again, we have to think about times, and I got to go in the future for some of the stuff, but I've now started playing Mass Effect 2, okay? And I know what to expect with Mass Effect 2 and 3 because I have played those before, but that was my first time playing Mass Effect 1. So I live streamed it. I talked about my early impressions. Again, EA did provide me a code for this game, so I do want to just throw it out there. It doesn't have anything to do with what I'm going to say. It doesn't have any impact, I guess I should say, because I'm free to speak. However, and when I tried to get the early, impressions review, I only played the first around like 8 to 9 hours of the game, and I had opinions there. Now I want to break down everything in this game. And I would say I want to make this a little different, okay? Obviously, I kind of word this as my honest thoughts, not a necessary, not like a real review because I don't give a number score, right? I kind of just talk about my opinion of the game, and it's kind of for you guys to say, oh, okay, well, maybe it's a game for me or maybe it's not a game for me. Obviously, if you played Mass Effect before, you know what to expect. If you haven't, do you jump in at Mass Effect 1? But I want to kind of format this as I really think this game has a lot of really good things and then a lot of really bad. In my opinion, there's not a lot of in between. So that's kind of how I want to separate this video. I want to talk about all of the really amazing things in the game and then the things that were really kind of, made me upset about this game, okay? Really quick, if you guys haven't already, firstly, thank you for 50K, but let's keep going, right? Make sure you guys are subscribed, bell icon turned on, give this video a like if you did like it, and we got a lot of announcements. I'm going to be live streaming, showing my face reveal for 50K, so a lot of really big things happening, which we'll talk about as the week goes on. Okay, let's talk about the good first, because I do think it's important. So I would say overall I liked the game. I liked it. I loved certain parts of it, but again, if you're judging like the entire game, I would say I liked it. I enjoyed my time. I don't know if I'd ever play it again. I do feel like I was missing it in my life. Like you can say like, some of these things you can say, well, a lot maybe these things are kind of like throwaway things, but like I played 2, I played 3. I loved the heck out of them. 3, obviously, and I say this kind of in every video because I understand 3's ending was 3's ending, and I was disappointed with it too. I wasn't as disappointed as some people online were at the time, but like I definitely get, I get it. I understand why people were upset. But I love 2 and 3, and at the time, I never really felt like I was missing anything with 1. You play 2, and I don't remember if it was like the Dark Horse Comics or whatever company they kind of partnered with to show like the pictures or almost comic-like, actions of the first game, and you get to make the major decisions. And I felt like at the time that I was like that was fine. I didn't really need to play 1 to get it. But what I will say is I think the best parts of 1 are the second half of the story missions. I think the story mission, and I would go so far as to say all the story missions are pretty solid, like at least good. And then the last 3 main missions of Mass Effect, the first game, are extremely good. Extremely good. They're good now in 2021. I can't imagine what they were like in 2007. And that's another important thing. Like I'm not like unaware of it, right? I understand this game is very old. It's very old. And me personally, I judge remasters, remakes on the game that it's copying. So like, there is something to say about was Mass Effect good in the first place, and you can definitely throw that in a review. You can talk about it, but when it comes to a remaster, it's for the people, I think, first and foremost, it's for the people that played the original games, right? To kind of bring it up to modern times. I think visually, they did an amazing job. So I think visually the game looks good. It doesn't look like 2021, but it doesn't look like 2007. You know what I mean? It definitely looks upgraded. It feels okay. It does not feel great. There's no doubt about it. But none of the Mass Effect games felt absolutely amazing. 3 was the biggest jump. Andromeda, actually, I believe Andromeda, in my opinion, had the best gameplay and feel of any Mass Effect game. It was easily the worst by like a mile, but it had the best gameplay mechanics, okay? And so if they all had Andromeda's feel to it, obviously that would be incredible. But this isn't a remake. It's a remaster. So visuals, incredible, okay? I think they did a really good job with Mass Effect 1. The story missions are so much higher quality than anything else in the game itself that it's insane, okay? It kind of goes to the weaknesses because side missions are a major weakness of the game, but the main missions, I mean, The Mako is actually okay to drive. I have no problems with it. It reminds me a lot of Arkham Knight with driving, how I kind of enjoyed it. My hot take with Arkham Knight is I didn't hate the Batmobile like everybody else did. The driving in the Batmobile was really good, and then the tank stuff was like cheap, cheesy fun that I actually was really good at and I enjoyed doing. I wouldn't like do it nonstop, but like I enjoyed it. But again, I understand why people hate it. Mako, kind of the same thing. Like I don't love driving around in it. It's annoying. Like often, okay, but it's not the worst thing ever, and I do understand that it was updated and made a lot better for this. So I don't even want to know what it was like back in the. You guys will have to let me know in the comments. But to me, I love the story missions a lot. There's a lot of, and I guess the final good thing I would say is stories / character kind of like back and forth. So the talking in Mass Effect has always been one of my favorite things. I've said this before. Mass Effect is one of the only open world games where I want to hear everything. If there's a person and you can ask like the things to further the story, but then you can also ask them like 4 to 5 questions that you don't have to ask. They just kind of enrich the world building. Most games, I'd say maybe half and half, I won't do that, okay? Mass Effect back in the day, Mass Effect 2, was the first game I did it for everybody. So if there was a character on a side mission planet, I would ask every question to them because I just feel like the story building and the stories, just the stories they're telling with all of these species and all this stuff, I thought was really interesting. And that's maybe one of the biggest things I didn't know I was missing with Mass Effect, but I got now. Learning about the Protheans and the Reapers and the Geth and all these different species, like, it's incredible. It really is. They do a really good job, and a lot of it does come, again, through the main mission, so that's kind of why I throw those in there. But even, in between the main missions, when you can go down and talk to everybody, you talk to Rex, Ashley, Tali, these are all phenomenal characters, for the most part. Some are better than others. I romanced Ashley, but she really is one of the least interesting characters in the entire game. Garrus is very fun to talk to. Tali is incredibly fun to talk to. Rex is fun. Like, I think some of these are better characters than Ashley, but they're all good. I enjoy talking to them. I enjoy hearing their stories. One example of like a bad thing that I didn't necessarily like, but it ties into a good thing. So let me go off here. You talk to Garrus about this scientist, and it's just a side conversation. You don't have to have this conversation. In fact, you don't need to recruit Garrus to your squad at all. But you have this, honestly, 3, 4, 5 minute talk about this scientist who was doing experiments, and Garrus tried to capture him and he escaped. And it's a phenomenal story. It's a thing that I love, again, about that world building and scope of Mass Effect, okay? But then you do the side mission, and you go into the side mission and you fight exactly how you fight the entire game, very, very generic. And then you find the doctor and you kill him, and that's it. I guess I chose to kill him, and you're literally done. It ends in probably 5 seconds. And I guess that kind of summarizes to me the good and the bad of Mass Effect, because like if I didn't do that doctor mission, I would have said it would have been even better. Just hearing about the story from Garrus and going back and forth and asking the optional questions that you didn't have to ask is amazing. And so again, all that is love. The negatives. Let's go into the negatives of Mass Effect. The side missions and the side things that you do are horrible. Are downright horrible. They're not deep enough. And I get, again, it's 2007 we're talking about here, right? You got to go back in time to figure out what we were dealing with. But especially in today's standards, if you're expecting something super in-depth, you either have to skip this game and go to 2, or, you're just not going to get it here. And that's one of the reasons why I love 2 and 3 so much more than 1, and now I can say that for sure after fully playing 1, is that all the side stuff you do in 2 and 3, it's a very high quality. Everything's kind of at a 10 nonstop. Not 10 like you're always doing action, but everything feels very big. Very big. There's a lot of conversation. There's a lot of dialogue. There's a lot of world building, all this stuff. And you don't get that with 1. A lot of the side missions are given to you at random. There's not too much to go off of. Organizing your side missions is very hard. Like the menu options, all that stuff is very difficult. They updated menus and leveling and all that stuff, but they still, I don't think, did nearly as good as they could have. I get it. You go to the journal. There's the main missions. There's side missions. But like then figuring out which cluster you have to go into and then which planet you have to go into, sometimes it gets confusing. So I think that's a weakness. And then, yeah, a lot of the side missions just end up being go to a planet, find some area, destroy a couple things with a Mako, go inside a building. Every building, every side mission fighting area is one of 2 different looking layouts. That's it. And I was actually stunned that was the case, because, and I'm not joking, like if you go into a side mission planet building, you're going to be inside of one of 2 layouts, and that's it. And that is, in my opinion, very, very, maybe 3, because maybe one has like unique one on its own, but very generic, very sad in that way, because you feel like you're always doing the same thing. And I think that kind of attributes to, you don't feel like you're doing something different each time. You know what I mean? Although the technical job that you're on, the side mission that you're on, is different, it doesn't feel like it's different. You know what I mean? And I guess, these are all opinionated, but I feel like that's the most factual, where it's like you do the same thing over and over again to get the same result. It doesn't really feel like you're doing different missions. It feels like you're doing the same thing. But I feel like that's a major weakness of the game. The other weakness is it takes a while to get into it. I did see people say this. I saw one person say, if the opening to Mass Effect 2 is an 11 out of 10, the opening to Mass Effect 1 is a 3 out of 10. And it feels like it's like a low budget thing. It does. I guess I like the world building that 1 does. Like I said, I like the story missions, but I will say is even the story missions, there's an incredible jump between the first half of the game and the second half. I can't even tell you which mission it is, but it does feel like when you get to a certain mission that the intensity and the kind of scope and budget and feel of the game just elevates itself. You know what I mean? And you can feel that. And then it stays there. And that's an incredible, that's a good thing. But the first half of the game, it does take a while. Like, it can get very boring. There's not a lot of world building. There's not a lot of intrigue. And they're like the Reapers and the Protheans, like I said, like these are very interesting things, at least to me. And they get much more in depth as the game goes on. But it doesn't start that way. So I feel like it has a very, very slow first, I'd say 10 hours. Like when I did that early impressions, I wasn't all that impressed with the game. The second half, the next 10 hours, the next 15 hours, depending on how much stuff you do, that's the real meat of this game, okay? So I would say, that's pretty much it. I liked the gunplay. I liked the powers. I liked the leveling. There's a lot of good stuff in this game. Again, visuals is pretty good. All the conversations, like I enjoyed them. But again, the conversations kind of go back and forth because they're a little boring and they're just not interesting enough the first half, but then they get there. And then again, those side missions, the conversations to set the side missions up are actually really cool. Like, you can go on the Citadel, and there's many people you can talk to that will give you side missions. And there's also people that will give you missions that if you do the good option, you don't even do the side missions. You know what I mean? And you kind of resolve it then and there. I love those. Those are amazing. It's just the interesting thing, like the good and the bad, is the setup can be really good, but then you just do a gunfight, you fight the same enemies in the same layout location, you get to a dead body or a file report, and the mission's over. You're done. Like, and it doesn't really even tell you when the mission is over. It just assumes you know it, and then you go back to the Normandy, and then it kind of tells you that the mission is done. So it feels like the payoff to the setup is very bad. Like, the payoff is very bad, whereas the setup is good. And then as the game gets going, the main missions are good. Again, overall, liked it. I wouldn't say loved, because I loved some of it, but then I really didn't like a good amount of it too. So it almost evened out. Again, I don't regret playing it. I like the fact that I played it. I'm in Mass Effect 2 now, and I haven't played Mass Effect 2 since it came out, so I feel like I'm gonna have a better understanding of 2 and maybe a better love for it now than I did back then. So still going through, but I wanted to tell you guys my opinions on Mass Effect 1. Definitely want to hear your guys' opinions in the comments. I have nothing against anybody. I know there's many people that say Mass Effect 1 is their favorite game. I have nothing against that. I'd like to know why. Let me know in the comments, but let me know what you guys thought of the game. As always, make sure, again, you guys are subscribed, bell icon turned on, all that good stuff. Hit the like button, face reveal, announcements, all that stuff coming towards the end of the week. Check my Twitter, because I'll be kind of announcing things there as well. Thank you for watching, guys, and I'll see you all on the next video.